Hey there, boys and girls. We are learning one of the most important concepts in math, especially regarding solving quadratics by factoring in this case, all right? So before we jump in, I just want to make it really clear to you what it means when we say solve. Sometimes it is not totally understood what that word means. In its simplest form, it is just solving means finding a value that works in an equation. So if we said something like 3x, I don't know, plus 7 equals 13, just to keep it simple. Solving means finding an x value that when I sub it in makes a true mathematical statement. Well, you can guess, you can try 1 and 2 and 3, and you might say, oh, look at that. When I try 2, 3 times 2 is 6, 6 plus 7 is 13. So to solve this, I would have x equals 2. It's nice to be able to work backwards from an equation and get like one answer or know how many answers you get. So in this case, if I take away 7 from both sides, I've got 3x equals 6, and then I can divide by 3 and divide by 3, and I've got x equals 2. And it's kind of a way of showing that there's just one answer, and that answer is 2. All right? When we've got a quadratic, though, can be a little bit more complicated because it's not always so straightforward. So we've got this technique. Before we do it, I want to just point out something that may seem obvious, and that is that if I have two numbers, a and b, that multiply and they make 0, it's just simple logic to understand that one of those numbers has got to be 0. There's no way that 1 times 1/5 gives me 0. There's no way that two numbers will multiply to give you 0 unless either a equals 0 or b equals 0. That's our simple concept that we are going to apply to something like this. If I said maybe 3x squared minus x equals 0, and I'm looking for an x value that works, again, guess and check might lead you to say, well, what if I just make it 0? Because 0 squared is 0 times 3 is still 0. 0 minus 0 gives me 0. So I know that I could say, well, x equals 0. But maybe there are more solutions. To find out what those might be, you want to try to break it down into things that multiply to make this side. So I see that there's an x there. I can take out an x, pull out an x from both places, and I get x times 3x minus 1 equals 0. Now I've got two things that are multiplying to make 0. So I can think of that as my a, and that's my b, and I'm multiplying to get 0. So either a is 0, meaning x is 0, or b is 0, meaning 3x minus 1 equals 0, all right? So how do I solve this? Well, this is just like that first type of problem. It's a linear problem, so I can add 1 to both sides. 3x equals 1, x then is equal to 1/3, and so I get 0 and 1/3 as my solutions, and I can write them like that. That's not as easy to guess and check, and sometimes it's so difficult that it would be almost impossible to guess and check. So by factoring and setting each factor equal to 0, we can come up with a solution, all right? So let's just do one more tougher problem, or maybe we can sneak in a second or third. If I have x squared minus x equals 12, all right? Well, it's not written in a form that's equal to 0. So one of the main things you're going to do is rearrange a quadratic, shove everything over to one side, set it equal to 0. I just take away 12 from both sides, and I get this, all right? And this should look like a very familiar one to you. It's very simple to factor. You can do these in your sleep, I hope. X in both places, do things that multiply to make 12, that have a difference of 1, minus 4, then plus 3, all right? If you're getting rusty in your factoring, practice that. But there we go. But then when is this equal to 0? This is when x is positive 4 that I take away 4. Gives me 0. When is this equal to 0? It's when it's minus 3 that plus 3 will equal 0. So there are my two solutions, and only two solutions. It's a basic rule of algebra that if I got a 2 there, that at most I'll have two solutions, okay? So if you get a tough problem, one that requires you to factor by using like the box method or something, well, you just do that. That's why we learn to factor. If I had something as tough as maybe 6x squared plus 11x maybe equals 10, again, set it equal to 0. Move Move the 10 over on this side. 6x squared plus 11x minus 10 equals 0. And then go to the box method, go to your factoring, drop a factor bomb on it, and you're going to get, in this case, I think if you factor, it'll be 2x plus 5 times 3x minus 2 equals 0. And then for the last time, just set each of these equal to 0. Do a little mini problem. 2x plus 5 equals 0. Take away 5, divide by 2, x equals negative 5 over 2. Solve this, and you're going to see I'm going to add 2, divide by 3, 3 over 2. Here are your two solutions. We write them with brackets like that, and we're done. So good luck.